What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I'm Matt.
I'm Shawnee.
And today we're going to talk about series that we want to finish. Some of these we're both reading together in different spots. One of them we're in the same spot. But nonetheless, these are series that we're in the middle of or haven't started yet that we both have on our one day we'll finish this list. We'll see how long it's going to take us.
Most of these we kind of want to finish this year, or we have hope. We have hopes to, but we'll see.
We'll see. Because I'm sure that we're going to learn about more books, and we're going to want to read those books, and they're going to get in the way. But anyways, I'm going to start us off. So the first series that I want to talk about is Harry Potter. Which is interesting because if you know me and you watched our first video, I mentioned that Harry Potter is the series that got me into reading. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I was in elementary school, like in 5th grade, I was reading as much as these as I can. And so I have actually never finished the series. I've finished 6 out of 7 books. And I know that there's a lot of people in the comments that are going to be judging me like that.
I'm not judging them, but I just really want to talk about some of the things that happen in the last book. I can't yet. So I'm really excited when you get there, so we can talk about them, or you can tell me that they're happening, and I'm going to be like...
One day we'll get to have those conversations.
Maybe.
So yeah, this is a series that I'm in the middle of. I'm currently on book 3. I haven't started it yet. There's been some other books that I've wanted to finish first. And I'm the type of reader, as you will find out today, that I struggle with sticking with one series and finishing it. I'll jump back and forth between, and because I like variety. I don't like being married to one thing for too long. I don't like being married to one book series for too long. I like to jump around my worlds and get some variety in there. So yeah, Harry Potter is the first one on the list of series that I want to finish. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about it once I'm done.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be awesome. So the next series that I want to get through or start, I haven't finished it yet, is the First Law series. So there's the First Law trilogy. There's another trilogy, but I don't know the actual name of the trilogy. And then there's some standalones that I want to get through. But what's the draw for me to this book is this is a grimdark, and it has darker themes, morally gray characters, which I am fascinated by. From what I've heard about this book, there's Joe Abercrombie does a really good job of writing a character that is a bad guy that you root for, is kind of the way that I've heard it. And I'm very interested to get through this series. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
What is this one? What do you know the synopsis of the plot of this one?
No.
You just know, like, you're intrigued by the main
I'm sure
character.
that I've heard the plot before, but in this moment I cannot remember it. So yeah, the First Law trilogy and the world thereafter. I'm really excited to get through this one. This will be my next fantasy read, but we'll put out a TBR video and you'll find out what I'm reading next before I get to this one. And in this year, we have both actually started to pick up manga, which is the first time for both of us really, but I've been reading a lot more manga than Shawnee has, and this year I would like to finish the I Am a Hero series. This is a great zombie manga. Your main character has some mental issues, and you follow him navigating the start of the zombie apocalypse. And it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty humorous. There's a lot of elements that make me laugh. It's pretty absurd sometimes. And the art style in this, I'll see if I can find some screenshots that I can put on the screen. But some of the art style is great. The story is great. I've really been enjoying this. For me, the reason I haven't finished it yet is because I just have so many other things that I want to read. But yeah, this is becoming one of my favorite manga series. Some other manga that I've been reading this year, I started Berserk earlier this year, and I've really been enjoying that as well. It's been difficult for me to get into, if I'm being honest. I will say the art style is takes some getting used to, but it's another one of those dark themed stories, maybe some elements of horror a little bit too. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't really have a good grasp on the plot of that either. I just feel like the character is pretty gnarly, and I want to read that. And it's just like when you think of manga, like popular manga throughout the years, I feel like if you're into manga and you know manga, I feel like Berserk is one that kind of always comes up in conversation. At least in the people that I've seen on YouTube and the conversations that I've been a part of. So I've been reading Berserk, and then the ones that I haven't started that I want to read is Full Metal Alchemist. I've heard that it's one of the best stories ever written, manga or not.
Oh, really?
So that's really exciting for me. The Faraway Paladin, I think, is a great concept. There is this boy who is being trained by three different, I don't know if they're spirits or demons or what, but there are three different like supernatural beings that are training this boy up to become a paladin, I think. And then last one is The Promised Neverland. I've heard a lot of good things about this one as well. I mean, most everything that I want to read, of course, I've heard good things about. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to read it.
Yeah.
So most of the things that I want to read, I don't know much about, if I'm being honest. And me personally, I think that's the best way to do it. Because if you know too much about what you're about to get into, in my mind, I think that you can kind of set high expectations, and then if they're not met, then that will affect the way that you like that story. I don't know what I'm saying.
Or if you know too many of the big pieces of the plot line, then it's like you're reading an expectation of that to happen rather than just like letting the character, the narrator, take you along and allowing the plot to just unfold as you're reading it, right? I'm curious, on Berserk, you said that the art style's a little different. What's different about it?
It feels older. It feels like it's which I mean, it is an older story. I mean, there's a ton of content for it already. Sadly, the author of it passed away recently, and so while there is a lot, it's not complete. And I don't know if the writers and publishers are going to leave it that way, or if they're going to choose to complete the series somehow. So yeah, it's a little bit of it feels like an older art style, and trying to decipher what's going on in the panels has been difficult for me. But sitting there and looking at it and looking at the things that he created and these creatures, these things that our main character Guts is fighting, I mean, the creativity is incredible. The design of these monsters and beasts or whatever, it's pretty grotesque at times.
And you love that?
Yeah, I love that. It's great. What books are you going to read? Or what series do you want to finish?
So the first series, I started this the beginning of last year. This is The Chronicles of Narnia. And I've never read these. Have I only seen the first movie? I've maybe only seen the first movie, but I had never read these, and so I picked them up. It was a Christmas gift to myself during 2020, maybe 2019. I can't remember my timeline. And so I am on book 5, and this is in chronological order, the set that I have. I don't know if you can see them up here. I'm on book 5, which is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but I want to finish this series this year. Obviously, these are quick reads. I just need to actually pick them up and get through it. Most of you, I'm sure, know the Chronicles of Narnia, the plot of it all, with these kids going into a magical realm outside of our current world. It just has a lot of comparisons towards Jesus Christ in biblical times as well, just brought into children narrative fiction, which is really cool to try to pick out. There's always these in each book so far, I haven't finished the series, there's a very sweet and intimate moment with Aslan, who's the representation of Jesus. There's always a very sweet moment in each of the books where one of the children or characters encounters him in a way that's so unexpected, and I feel like that speaks a lot to encountering Jesus, that how we expect to encounter him is usually rarely how we ever encounter him. So, excited to finish this series, Chronicles of Narnia. And then, currently in the middle of this series, I'm planning on finishing book 2 of A Court of Thorns and Roses this weekend. I hope it's a long weekend. We don't have to go to work on Monday, Memorial Weekend. Yay. So hoping to finish the second book, and then I may or may not jump straight into the third book. I don't know. Haven't decided yet, but I'm definitely finishing this series this year. That's probably not a part of the question, but something I'm currently reading. This is about a girl who is trying to take care of her family. And the first book is it gives me a lot of Beauty and the Beast vibes. And I hadn't heard that from anybody. And so when I was reading through this first one, I got like halfway through and I texted my sister. I was like, am I the only one that's thinking this? And she's like, no, you're not. So it's about a girl trying to take care of her family and encounters a high fae, the fairyland, that is bordered off from the human world just by a wall. And so she goes into that world and just kind of gets immersed into it. Good things and bad things alike, but I don't want to give any spoilers away, but very much Beauty and the Beast vibes. The second book, though, is not. It's very much an overcoming of trials of the hauntings of past trials. I feel like the second book is trying to be okay with being who you are after going through a traumatic experience kind of thing, and not being who people expect you to be, is all I'll say about it so far. Haven't finished it yet though, so we'll see what happens. My next one is my first manga that I read. This is Orange. This is set in the high school of some students they're getting letters from themselves in the future, and this main character is and trying to follow some of the instructions that she's given there to help out a friend about what things that she can do to not only better her own future, but her friend's future from something that had happened. I also don't want to give any spoilers for it, but really enjoyed this. Matt said that he's reading more manga than me, which is true. This one, and then Beastars is another series that we're both in the middle of. He's reading way more manga than me. This is really the only other one that I've been reading on my own. There's a second volume, and so I'm excited to read that second volume. Hopefully this year. Mangas are pretty quick to get through, but I was really enjoying this story. Just a quick, fun, lighthearted. No, it's not lighthearted. I said that. There's lighthearted, fun moments in this, but there's also some really deep, dark moments in it as well. Letters from your future self trying to correct hard things from the future self's past that the girl's currently living in. But it was a lot of fun. I got addicted to it. Once I got halfway through, I was like, okay, I have to finish it. This is good. Can't wait to read the second one. My next book is this is the
Grishaverse.
This is the Grishaverse. I always say it wrong. Shadow and Bone is the first book. So this is a part of a trilogy. And then after this, there is a duology. And then another either trilogy or duology.
Yeah,
There's a lot of books in this universe, but this is about a girl that has unexpected or unknown powers that get revealed when she's trying to help a friend, and then people are trying to hunt her down to use her powers. That's all I kind of know about it. I know obviously it says it's a Netflix series here on the book cover. I haven't watched it. I probably will after I read all of the books. I won't probably jump into it till I finish it. But I've heard so many good things about this. This is a YA novel, a young adult novel, and I've been really interested in young adult, and I'm not sure why. I've just been kind of gravitating more towards that. I guess because I haven't read a lot of it in a while. But yeah, I'm excited to jump into this year and hopefully get through this trilogy before the end of the year. And then one more. This one is a little daunting. I haven't started it, but it's a lot of pages. Are all these books over 1,000 pages?
Yep.
So
every single
I haven't
one.
started this one. But I know Matt has read this trilogy. This is
There's
the
four.
story. There's four?
There's 4.
Oh, there's 4. It's a series.
It's not a trilogy. There's going to be a total of 10 books, but 2 parts, 5 books per part. So there's going to be the next book that is released is the conclusion of part 1 of the Stormlight Archive.
So he's read it, obviously. I have not. I want to, but it's just this is going to take up.
It's definitely a task. It's a commitment.
My sister-in-law also read this at recommendation from her brother, and they both loved it. And I hear so many great things about this. But I hear that this isn't, I haven't read Brandon Sanderson before. I've admitted this on the channel before. And I heard this isn't the way to start, even though this is the way you started.
Yeah.
But I just hear that
Mistborn.
The Mistborn, that one's a trilogy. Series?
There are 2 different trilogies.
Okay.
So there's 6 books. There's Mistborn Era 1 and then 2.
I hear that Mistborn Era 1 is the first way to jump into this world. So I'm probably going to honestly do that first. But I do want to try and read at least Way of Kings, the first book of the Stormlight Archive this year. So that's kind of my series. It feels like a lot after I'm talking about it. I'm like, golly, there's so many different worlds. But I'm hoping to at least get through some of these or start these series this year.
Well, if you think that that's a lot, those are just the series that we're trying to finish separately.
Yeah.
We have a multitude of series that we are both in the middle of at the same time. And so since we were just talking about it, we both, technically we're not in the middle of this, but this is Mistborn Era 1 that we were just talking about by Brandon Sanderson. This is the kind of almost universally recommended, that's the word, thank you, babe. This is kind of the universally recommended way to jump into Brandon Sanderson. It's not the route that I went the 1,000-page tomes, but whatever. We have not started this yet, but we both want to because it's Brandon Sanderson and he's my favorite author, so definitely want to get through this. And I think Shawnee wants to read it just because the cover looks pretty.
Yes, so the cover does look pretty. But I did hear a little bit about the synopsis is that you can consume metals and then have capabilities based upon the metals that you're consuming. That's all that I know about it, which sounds so cool.
Yeah, if you've never read Brandon Sanderson, he writes incredible magic systems. And I think that this is going to be no exception. The magic system in The Way of Kings is amazing. The magic system in Warbreaker is amazing. And I'm sure that this will be no different. And
Yeah.
so we're both really excited to get into this. It's just a matter of finding time and committing to jumping into it. Because there's so many books to read. How do you choose?
I know.
Okay, the next series that we both want to read and complete is the Greenbone Saga. So I have completed this book. Shawnee is in the middle of it, and I have not started book 2 yet, but I'm very excited and anxious to. This is kind of The Godfather with magic, is how I've heard it compared to. And after reading, I would definitely agree. There's elements of gang
Mafia.
mafia conflict, family conflict, both in the family and external. The magic system is super interesting. The way that you can, so it's not a spoiler, it's the magic system. The way that they can use jade to make themselves more powerful than another. I feel like the whole plot is written around this idea of acquiring more jade, thus acquiring more power. I think is probably the best way that I could say it. If I thought about it longer, I could probably be more articulate with it. Yeah, this is the first book is great. I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it if you decide to pick it up. I know that a lot of people that I follow on BookTube said that this was their favorite series of last year. It concluded last year. Jade Legacy is the third book. And I know multiple people that I follow chose that as their favorite book of 2021.
I'll agree with you that it seems like a part of the plot, the synopsis or whatever, is the more jade that you can acquire, the more power that you have in the society. Something, I'm only like chapter 3, I think. I just barely have started this. I've been reading when I can. I've really enjoyed the author's writing style and describing the magic system, because so far she hasn't like directly said like, okay, this is how using jade works, but in describing the scene and what's happening and what the characters are doing, describes how jade affects them. And
Right.
I've really loved and enjoyed her description of that and giving us a sense into the magic of the world without being like, whenever you have jade, then you're able to do these things.
Right.
But then just saying like the character when they had it and then this was happening, or remembering like when they first touched it and having these flashbacks towards like, you know, what was happening in their world and their training and things like that, rather than just being like, hello, this is jade, and you know.
Right.
It's been so smooth in the descriptions of the magic system.
Yeah, it's a great series. Highly recommend it. So another author that I'm coming to admire is Rick Riordan, and I'm wanting to get through, well, we're both wanting to get through the Percy Jackson series. I've wanted to for quite some time. I'm not sure how long Shawnee's been wanting to, but I just finished the second book, and I will pick this back up once my my hold for the third book, or the third audiobook from the library becomes available, because the voice, the narrator is really talented. I've really enjoyed his performance narrating the series so far. Pretty entertaining. This series has been so much fun. It's a middle grade, so it's not quite as heavy or hard to grasp, but there's still elements of not decent, but like a good amount of conflict.
Yeah.
And trouble for the protagonist to get through and his group of friends. Because it's a middle grade, there are some things that I kind of don't like in stories, like our main character just instantly realizes or discovers that he has this magical power and has a masterful understanding of it at a moment, in a moment. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but the story overall is just so much fun. I've really been enjoying my time in the Percy Jackson series. And then beyond this, I want to read The Heroes of Olympus and the Kane Chronicles, and I think there's one more that I'm forgetting. But I would love to read everything that Rick Riordan has written. Talented author, he writes his characters very well, and you can tell like which character is talking, and that I love.
I've not read any of his books, but I have always wanted to. This is a series, the Lightning Thief series is one that got my brother into reading in high school. And since then, I have been like, I want to read that series too, but I just haven't. That was around the same time that he started reading that I was discovering more literary fiction stuff. Really took a sidestep out of the fantasy world until more recently. So yeah, whenever you started reading that, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I have to still read these books sometime in my life, so why not now? Well, I haven't started them yet, but they're on my radar again.
Yeah. So the next series that we want to read together is Song of Ice and Fire. So I've watched the entire show. I've watched all of Game of Thrones, and
I have not.
She has not finished it. We are watching it together. We just started season 2, and I'm really excited for her to finish the series. But like a good book reader, she wants to finish the series before we finish the show. And so we've been chugging away at the books. She is about to start Feast for Crows, and I'm in the middle of Clash of Kings. This story is about different families that all are
fighting for the throne of the main kingdom, as it, I guess, appears to be, which is like the Iron Throne. Wow, that was country. I can't say that, not country. The Iron Throne, as people know it to be. And so there is this big region, and they're separated by different sections, and their families, and there's known families, and they're basically all throughout these series. It's going through, each chapter changes the point of view from the character, and it's going through their perspective on what they're doing in their life and how basically their family is fighting for the throne. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I think that, again, if we thought about it and wrote this down, it would be a lot more concise and articulate, but we're kind of going off the cuff a little bit. One thing about George R. R. Martin that I love, that I haven't seen a lot of other authors do, is he writes POVs of the antagonists too. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that in any other book that I've read. And so getting to be inside the mind of the person you're rooting against has really been pretty interesting.
Well, and what's so fun about you bringing up that point is that because there's so many different POVs, that who you think the antagonist is might be different than who I think the antagonist is. It's not. We have the same characters that we hate, but there's the possibility of someone loving that certain character and rooting against them because it gives their true POV, which is kind of fun. I hadn't thought about that until you brought it up just now.
Yeah, it's really cool to see all aspects of a story and seeing both sides, because typically you see the protagonist, the good guy, and you're in his mind, but you never see the thoughts or the way that the antagonist is thinking. You just see their actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that has been really fascinating for me, and I've really been enjoying that. Okay, so the next series that we both want to get through is The Wheel of Time. So we both think that the Stormlight Archive is pretty daunting, but right now there's only 4 books. That seems pretty doable. But there are 15 total books in the Wheel of Time right now, and they're not small. Like, there's not a small book in the Wheel of Time. Again, multiple POVs, a lot of different worlds, cultures, characters. I mean, there are characters that... there's tons of characters we haven't even met yet in this series. We're only on book 3. I know that there's so much more to come. It almost feels like undoable. Like, how does one read that much story and comprehend all of it? And like understand it all, and I don't know. I heard about this series last year, which is crazy because I feel like this is one of the biggest fantasy series written.
Yeah.
And just the fact that I only heard about it last year was kind of interesting.
Well, I only heard about it from you.
That's true. So yeah, this is one that we're both excited to get through. Wouldn't be able to tell you when we would finish, but
not this year.
not this year.
Not next year either, probably.
Yeah, there's just too much to read, and there's too much of the Wheel of Time by itself to read. But one day we'll get through it. I
feel like if we read like 2 to 3 out of the series per year, because there's so many other books that we want to read, is fine.
Yeah. Okay, so the last series that we'll talk about today that we both want to get through is the Bloodsworn trilogy. This series has been coming out recently. This is a new series. This came out last year. The sequel came out this year, and I am in the middle of this one. This is my current main read that I've been chugging away at, and I think it's a revenge story. I know that it is Viking inspired, and so far, what I know is you follow a couple different POVs, one of them being a guy named Varg, I believe is his name. And he, by way of earning his right to join this group of sailors called the Bloodsworn, he gets this new family. He finds this new group of people, brothers and sisters, and I love found family tropes. I love people of different walks of life coming together and creating that family, that band of brothers type thing. Like, think like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Like that's the thing that I compare it to is just like a group of people all coming together and building like unbreakable bonds. There's that element in the Stormlight Archive. There's that element in the Kings of the Wild, which is another series that I want to read that Yeah, this list is never ending. But yeah, I've been enjoying this so far. I'm on chapter 7, I think. So not all that far into it. I think it's just over 10%. But excited to get through this series. And yes, it is mostly just for the cover.
Well, I want to read it because it's on my list of things that I want to read and start, because I've never read anything really that's Viking inspired, and that intrigues me. That's a different type of world that I feel like could be a lot of fun. Vikings have cool hair, right? So
Yeah. Yeah,
that's why I want to read it. I'm just kidding.
Once I finish reading this, I'm sure I'll start braiding my hair and growing my beard out and braiding that. Oh, okay. I won't do that.
After I just said that they have cool hair, right?
Yeah. So yeah, these are series that we both individually and together want to finish. Maybe sometime this year, but we definitely have on our list of series to complete. And we're both aware that this list is going to keep growing and growing and growing as we hear about more books, as we start to get to dive into new worlds and learn more about these books. I know that more is going to catch our eyes. There's going to be series that we currently don't want to read that we will one day want to read. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
But it's fun.
It's fun.
That's why we're talking about it on YouTube, because it's so much fun.
So yeah, these are the series we want to complete. Tell us in the comments what are some series that you're looking to finish or pick up, or did we mention any that caught your eye that you might want to pick up? We would love to talk to you about them. Go ahead and if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and give us a like for this video. And
Don't forget to do something fun this week.
bye.
Bye.